Hello there.
What up? Okay, we're finally here. Welcome, welcome. Green Froggy, what up? Abolished one. What up? How we doing? Just finished Spectre build. It feels so great. Oh, nice. That's good. What Spectre did you play around? I'm almost level 67. Yo, leveling on this character feels genuinely like a chore. Oh, Frostbearers? Oh, nice. Yeah, Frostbearers are pretty good. I love them. They are by far my strongest, or they have been my strongest build so far. So much so that I am holding my Chains of Command build, which is, so far, honestly has been decent. But I'm holding them to that standard simply because I want to be able to play as comfortably as I was on that build. My only qualm with them, with Frostbearers, is they can be squishy. I'm gonna do a tier 7 map. Let's just pick a random one. Wait, shouldn't there be Strand here? Or the Jungle Valley? We can do Jungle Valley. But yeah, this character, until I get to the point where I can use permanent banners, which is in... Where is my auto exertion? Hatred. That gave me an idea. That gave me an idea. If I remove life tap, I mean, I don't have trigger, so this isn't being used right now. So I can remove life tap, put hatred there, extend auto exertion by 1, have 2 cries, and have more permanent banners until I get my chest piece that gives me permanence. So let's do that. I beat all Uber with the build except Sirius, but still struggling with T17s. I have 0 experience in serious fights, so I can't really help you there, but I know serious can be a pain. I know I beat who? I beat Uber Eater and Uber Maven and regular Sirius. I beat regular Sirius because that was my first time ever fighting Sirius. And I didn't know his mechanics for the most part. So I walked into one of these circle storms and, you know, a Frostbearer blinked out of existence. So I actually did that fight with less than my maximum amount of Frostbearers. So I can imagine with the die beam and all of that, it could be a bit hard. So I imagine they can actually do it. You just have to manage them through the spinny phase. I think that spinny phase might be dicey. I'm looking for a second green. Please give me green. I do not have the patience for this. Give me green. But yeah, T17s. How am I faring in T17s with Force Bearers? I think for the most part they are chill. I only run into like a couple of dicey mods. Like certain, I only die to like certain mods. Like for example, if I have 200% damage as, why are you not clicking? Yo, what the fuck? Is it lag? Oh great, we're lagging. What? I mean, okay, internet looks a bit better. Hopefully it stays that way. Yeah, I don't think I have the patience for this. I do not have the patience for it, so we're just going to do this. I'm gonna slap this there and slap this here. This is all just so we are prepared for after we get permanent banners. But before then, we can put a different cry here. Is there any cry that is green? But anyways, what was I saying? I was talking about, before the internet interrupted, I was talking about who has the lowest cooldown. I was talking about T17s. And yeah, I only really struggle against like very dicey T17 combinations. Like if I have 300% fizz as extra elemental, and then there's another 100% fizz as extra fire, and then there's maybe crits. You know, I'm kind of crit immune, but I'm at 80% crit immune, not really fully capped. So we still take some extra damage. So by the time you get all these fizz as extras, not only is it deadly to you, which is a pain in the butt, but you see those frost bearers, oh, they could easily eat shit in maps like that. So I'm always very wary about like taking too many damage mods at the same time because of that exact reason. Now this one I have to do the 2 socket game for. Like I just have to, because I need 3 red. I'm not about to pay 100 and like what, 25 chromes for that. Oh, I'm out of. Oh, the fun stuff. I get to buy jewelers in my gold. I think I should really just not use straight for this. I'm gonna do 30 chaos. Jesus Christ, nope. 20. There we go. This is something I kind of want to test. Then let's just pick a cry. I'm gonna do Infernal Cry. It's not like he helps or anything, so. Okay. I'm also thinking of just removing meat shield from here, but until I get my banners up a lot more, I do not want to risk him dying to dots. So meat shield for now is just very necessary. But like, look what I mean about his AI. His AI is very wonky. Sometimes he pauses when he should really be hitting. We're at level 67. We need 2 more levels. Like, it's not quite permanent banners or anything yet. Not for at least another chess piece. I might honestly need two war cries on auto exertion to keep my thing permanently up, even with perfidy. So we'll see. I currently use more duration for banners, but it's entirely likely I just don't use that, and instead I use one more war cry. Entirely possible. We checking Rock's new D4 info this stream or not? We can check it. I was watching the live stream earlier. I didn't make it all the way through. I think I made it to like, what, 30 minutes into it, something like that. Fun fact, War Banner is not the best for this setup. The reason War Banner is not the best, unless like you're facing a boss like this, is only this melee hit when he slaps somebody benefits from War Banner's more multiplier. What the hell is happening with my speed? She's dead, is she not? So only the actual hit is considered a melee attack, and as such, only that benefits from War Banner. The lightning portion, it's not. We needed level 67 for our... Yes, we have access to it now. We can finally spend our points again. I did want to do this. I have excessive intelligence, if I remember correctly, so... Cool. Then... dump you in here. Where's Feeding Frenzy? You're here. I'm also considering, and I don't have a fully fleshed out thought on this, or if it's going to be good or not, but I'm considering going Chains of Command Champion with... Chains of Command Champion with... Of course, Chains of Command, so I can't get permanent... banners per se, but if I go the shield, I think it's Eternal Apple it's called or something, then we can kind of have Warcry that is up so much, or banners that are up so much that they might as well be permanent. The biggest downside to not like a build like that, i.e. Chains of Command, is the biggest downside is simply that we cannot have two banners up at the same time. We're just kind of just stuck with one. What is going on here? Are you not taking... Oh, you are. I probably shouldn't level up Infernal Cry. The big downside of the Apple tech, using Apple for automation for my war cries while maintaining the buffs, is I end up in a situation, by the way, with my banner down here, none of us are dying. So long as we don't get one shot, of course. And this character is still very well one-shottable. But yeah, being able to cap attack and spell block with one button press is kind of nice. It's kind of nice. Infernal Cry, let's mute you real quick. Any advice for bone ring crafting? I suck at bone ring crafting, but what I've heard is you have two options here. You either, if you're going for minion damage, you kind of just have to spam bound fossils until you get something good, and then you go from crafting prefixes or suffixes from there. Or if you don't particularly care too much about, if you don't care too much about minion damage overall, then what you can do is you can go harvest reforged caster, and that you would do this if you're prioritizing minion attack cast speed, because you are heavily weight. I think you have a better chance of hitting minion attack cast speed than if you reroll speed, simply because of or caster rather, not cast speed, something like this, simply because of the other mods and their weights for speed. But yeah, other than that, like I said, I'm not the best at crafting minion rings. I learned of a fossil combo for it. Let me know if I can find it. All right, if you find it, let me know. Are we're talking about the minion ring, right? Here we have one of this. This will give me, or give my minion more PDR. So there are a few concerns I actually have with this build. They are not too many, but they exist. Concern one, sustain for the AG. I don't think we quite have enough sustain. I think, yes, it is. Yes, I have decent sustain, and yes, in the end, ow. In the end game, I'm watching his health. But anyways, yes, I have decent sustain with him right now, and I should have decent mitigation with him in the future. Sustain wise, I don't know how it's gonna work, simply because he's not using a Mask of the Stitch Demon. He can't use a Mask of the Stitch Demon. He doesn't have much ES. He's not using Broadcall's Pelt. He's not using, I mean, Doppelganger is very wonky when it comes to regions. I wouldn't even count that. But with Doppelganger, at least his mitigation for phase is a lot higher. So like his recovery is like my biggest concern. But the thing about his recovery that actually allows me to do what I'm doing now, i.e. pursue the build, is banners on banners should, in theory, the banner should give him a good chunk of regen, and not only should it give him a huge chunk of regen, with Dread banner he should be recovering life when he blocks. This of course doesn't counter dots, so we're going to still rely on the 10% life regen which we're going to be getting from our banners for this largely, and just giving him more health, like more health than he knows what to do with. Then there for my chains of command idea. With chains of command, my ultimate goal is to make a POB, and I have been unsuccessful so far. But what I am trying to do is I'm trying to cook up a POB that would allow chains of command to function on the champion, so we can take advantage of the insane movement speed from the banners. And not only that, the biggest downside, or the biggest, problem with champion is I want to focus on banners. I have so much investment into banners that it feels like a shame just having one banner, even if that banner is like juiced to the moon or whatnot. It's still just one banner, like it's still just one banner. If I had the situation with the perfidy where where is my, like, I'm out here wondering where my AG is when in all of that. Like, bruh, I'm seeing my what's his face a lot more than my AG. Anyways, as I was saying, I'm doing all this investment into banners that it feels like a shame to just have one. When in theory, if I just slapped on a perfidy, I can have war banner and defiance banner up at the same time. Defiance banner, of course, just being my press button, gain movement speed steroid, and infinite spell suppress, pretty much like movement speed spell suppress. Then I can have that, and then I could just keep gaining like valor inside the whatchamacallit. I can keep getting valor inside the thing and get my second banner up. So now I have spell suppress and I have 100% block chance, or 65% block chance, I should say. You know, and I could also pair this combo if I really wanted, or not really. But if I really wanted to, I can probably pair it to this Fallen just so I get higher than 65% block chance. I don't know what 55 lucky block chance is. I can calculate it. I can actually do. I click that. Get me out of here. I can do the calculation real quick. Is my computer being slow? So if we have 55% block chance, that means they have a 45% chance to hit, and they have to roll it twice. So we'd have an effective 80% block chance, which I mean, and this is for both spell and attack block. So 80% block chance with no investment on top of 100% spell suppress and negative damage from spell suppress, like flat damage reduction from the spell suppress. You know, it's really strong. You pair those two together, you're not dying. But the problem is, or not, I won't say the problem. The thing is that you are not gonna get 100% uptime on both of these auras. It's not like you're going to drop a banner. You're going to wait until your war cries tick, and they're going to drop the second one. And in most mapping scenarios, you're going to spam defiance and just go with that. But if we're not going chains of command, which would take our chess piece slot, and we can actually go perfidy, which is why I left the map. We can use our perfidy now. We're going to use largely the same thing. Just that's why I colored it the same way. Now that we have perfidy, I want to switch to potentially feeding frenzy. I want to see what this looks like when it is aggressive. Simply because now our auras should have better uptime. Oh wait, you know, I just realized. I realized I'm a dumbass. I do not have my main damage skill up. But yeah, just being able to stand here and gain valor, and then the moment we move out of this area, we have our valor again to use it again. Yeah, no, this doesn't work without perfidy. At least for 100% uptime. Like there, I just leave the range and I have 105 to drop it back. Like it's actual 100% uptime. I kind of want to see what this looks like with War Banner. Oh, that didn't last long. But yeah, you can actually have your Dread Banner be your big defensive layer, because it gives me a lot of life on block right now. And then if I like, look at that, I actually survived there. If for whatever reason, maybe a setup like this can work for bossing. I mean, maybe. Like, I'm not really stressing about my AG dying anymore because he's not gonna die. He has 75% attack block and over 700-ish life gained when he blocks. Plus, he also has regen of 10% of his life per second. So he should not, unless it's like dicey situations, he shouldn't be dying. And typically you can tell dicey situations before they happen. Like, it's actually wild just how much uptime. Our banner hasn't fallen since we got to 100%. That is stupid. Now that is block. If I went Defiance banner, my personal defenses would have been tested a whole lot more. A whole lot more there. Because I wouldn't have the block, and as such I'd be taking more damage. Now I would have spell suppress, but it wouldn't stop me from taking attack damage. Keep in mind I also just have this node here, which is how I have my spell block capped. So I'm not, that's why I'm prioritizing Dread Banner over Defiance right now. In theory, we should be using the movement speed. Feeding Frenzy, did I notice it too much? I don't think I noticed it too much, but it's only one map, so let's see. We'll go for a white T16 jungle toxic sewers and we'll see how it performs, I guess. But yeah, I think my biggest thing with this build is just I don't feel motivated to invest in it, mostly because of the AG's AI. It doesn't seem like something I particularly want to do. But I do like the idea of him permanently scaling Solita when he's attacking res. Like, or permanently stacking, like, look at how fast he can, in theory, attack once he ramps. What the fuck was that? Can I finally fix my flasks? That should be the next thing I check, because this no phase in life is not the life for me. Also, need I say the banner is the only reason I'm alive here. I'm being permanently stunned by everything that is here. Ow. I honestly find his attack speed right now fascinating. Can you attack, please? But yeah. I don't think it's gonna work out with his AI. I wish it would. I don't think so. Maybe. Yeah, aggressive doesn't seem to help it. The only solution I can think of for this is if I were to genuinely just give him what do you call it? If I were to give him my flasks and allow him to run phasing, I think that would solve the issues I am having with the current with his AI. But that's a lot of jank. Wait, I actually need to practice this a bit. What does it look like when I drop a banner? I'll drop a banner and then I'll build Valor and then I drop the next one. Okay, I can have both of them up at the same time. It's just the one that dropped first obviously has a bigger AoE, so it's easier to run out of its area. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, that's exactly how I thought it was. It was. That was a big stun. I think if I stay in the same area with my banner, if I stay in the same area, I actually get to max. Should I say banner count first? Like I actually get to max before it expires. Where is the boss? Oh, I've already beaten the boss. I forgot. So I need to buy a cluster and okay, let's go to the drawing board. I really do not like his AI. I don't think it's good at all. And I don't think I want to use this until he kills himself. And I also do not want to risk his gear the way it is on a version like this pretty much. I could give him more damage. I could give him explode. If I give him explode, would that help? Because as it stands right now, he does have explode. And it might not be going from him, But so long as you're in the AoE, he can explode. If I really wanted to be tanky, I guess Dread Banner plus Aegis Aurora would be the way to go on a build like this, because then you're gaining life and ES on block. And by gaining both of them on block and scaling these two axes of life pool, you're able to get really tanky, even if you do not get ES from here, because your main pool is still your life. So maybe let's open PoB. So currently, this is not a PoB to really pay too much mind in. It was a PoB that I think I set up for chains of command. So obviously it doesn't have perfidy. And I recently just thought about using Eternal Apple with 3 auras because it gives 50% increased Warcry cooldown recovery. And then it triggers the Warcries when I lose endurance charges, and then I can lose endurance charges by just using Immortal Call, or I mean in this case it says on reaching maximum endurance charges. I do not like the idea of using this like endurance charges as a source of trigger for this, but at the same time maybe I just prioritize getting endurance charges like Enduring Cry. But right now in the offhand, I was thinking Enduring Cry, which would give me a minimum of 2 endurance charges, and if there were enemies it would give me more, which would then trigger the other war cries, and then it would also proc every 4 seconds. General's Cry would, why is General's Cry not here? General's Cry would be down to like 1.4 seconds, 1.2, and then we just scale cry cooldown, so we're pumping it out the moment we step out of the banner area. We three just pop, and then we are good to go to drop another one, and then we can have infinite movement speed this way. And because this is triggered by Eternal Apple, we also have the added benefits of going like TLDR. We can go animate weapon. We can go a weapon that actually gives them like a ton of power. We don't have to go like Battle Mage's Cry. We can go is it Rallying Cry? We can go Rallying Cry. We can go in Battle Mage's Cry and Enduring Cry. These 3 sources of different cries. And I think we might need an external source of endurance charges. It's a might, because if not, I don't know how at the start of the map we would trigger them initially. We can't just rely on Enduring Cry for the charges. Oh wait, I actually do know how. We just need this. This kind of means we don't want maximum endurance charges, but we also kind of do. When we drop our banner, no, this wouldn't work. We need our war cries for the Valor to then drop our banner. We have Enduring Composure, but I also don't like the idea of trying to get hits first. Chains of command, we can't run perfect warlord. So we don't have that source of endurance charges. If we're going a claw, which I honestly want to try going a claw for AG, for chains of command, because of I want to try getting to 100% crits and just messing around with crit shenanigans. You know, what do I mean by this? Well, off the top of my head, with 100% crit, if I really wanted to, I could still scale poison, and because we have 100% crit, we get access to a huge DPS multiplier in the form of you know what, let me just pull it up. Critical strike affliction, this one, which is 108% dot multi from crits. So you can have this huge multiplier here, and in theory with Eternal Apple, Battle Mage's Cry, a dagger with a base of like 11 crit chance, 11 point something, you can easily end up with crit chance in the 90 to 100% without too much investment. What would be our needed sources of investment? At, let's say, all the flats or all the base crits ends up being at, let's say 100. Let's say let's say 100. What am I saying? 15. Battle Mage's Cry is 0.5. This is not accounting for Warcry effects, but just 0.5. So that times 6 is 3%. So that takes you up to 14. Then if you really wanted to, you'd go Assassin's Mark. But with Chains of Command, you can't really go a different mark other than Penance Mark. Well, you can. You would just need flask charges gained, which on this side of the tree is actually pretty accessible. You could go for flash charges and just maintain them in a single target situation that way. So I think I like Penance Mark quite a bit. Yeah, I think I like Penance Mark a lot. But anyways, 14. We cannot rely on the brittle helmet we saw, because in theory, with this variant, we are not going to be doing much AG damage. I need to remember the name of the brittle helmet though, just in case. Gale sights. Based on the cold damage of the hits. I'm just now realizing brittle is even cold aligned. Whenever I heard brittle, like my mind instantly went to fire. I don't know why. I have no idea why. So the AG would already have increased elemental damage. I just need to give him unbound ailments, and he should be able to apply decent brittle even while not doing too much damage. So if we're looking at a plus 2, this is damaging ailments. So unbound ailments is not what I'm looking for. This increases the duration of ailments. It increases the effects of... Oh, okay. I didn't see this. Because I knew there was a reason I'd put this on Skitterbot. It's of non-damaging ailments. So particles have increased the effect of non-damaging ailments. Okay. Yeah, so unbound ailments is the way to go. Sorry, my brain needed to boot a bit and actually read. So yeah, if I had to say, we give that helmet to the the AG. AG applies the brittle. AG is gonna heal from. Basically, the AG is gonna kind of be set up the way he currently is, with him constantly recovering life because the swords are dying. You know, same old. Nothing changes there. He's also gonna have like 10% life regen. He's gonna have a good amount of. He's going to have a good amount of life regen from my banners, or my banner one. If I ever need damage, I can throw War Banner out. If I need defenses, I can throw Defiance Banner out. I can't use Dread Banner with Eternal Apple. I think Eternal Apple is just kind of awkward to build around. If I just stay on 3 endurance charges, I guess there's also no, that wouldn't work. I was thinking Warlord's Mark, but that wouldn't work. I don't want, like I said, I don't want to get hits for the endurance charges. Enduring Cry is triggered, so also one thing to note, I just realized. Yeah, this don't work. Can't use that. I just remember the wording of that one says when you use a war cry. I don't know why I just remembered it randomly, but that's what happened. What is the damage? What is the best way to scale this damage? If I decide not to go War Banner and if I decide to go Eternal Apple, which means I don't go Dread Banner, that means I have Spell Suppress. I don't have Block. I'm not too much tankier. I'm okay. But tankiness would need work. Minimum endurance charges is also probably very good here. Anyways, this is just me literally just thinking about what I could do to make Chains of Command work on this. The answer is it's gonna be awkward regardless. There's no way it's not awkward. With Eternal Apple, I would need to find a way to automate my endurance charges so it actually triggers outside of Enduring Cry. Because Enduring Cry is going to pop. It's going to give me charges. Then it's going to drop set charges. I would probably use Ralakesh. That seems like an easy way to just make sure I have endurance charges myself. And I don't care about the downside of the charges falling. Helmet wise, I was thinking of going Formless Inferno because I mean I'm going to give them a whole lot of overcast fire res regardless. This will give them life. They're tankier. It kind of makes up for the life that they lose by not being with a Necromancer. But I was thinking about it and I'm just like, is this something I want to do? Maybe. Depending on the build, it could be very handy. But what are my helmet options if my chest piece is already taken? Because regardless of what I do, I'm going to be using a unique chest piece. Either I'm using Perfidy or I'm using Chains of Command. There really is no in between. If I use Perfidy, I can try to make this. You know what? I just had an idea. If I use Perfidy, I can try and make it work with other minion types that are not animate weapons. Oh, Ben, it's over 9,000. PoE, or I guess Dominated, is what I should be searching for right now. Ravenous Macerator. I know these guys are Fizz, but I'm not entirely sure all their hits are melee. Oh, you can barely see what it looks like. Was this before I started using MTXs for his specters? Yeah, the MTX is it's really big for knowing what the fuck is going on. So lots of different combo attacks, different smashes, different big AoE hits. I don't like some of the attacks though. Most of their slams just seem like meh. Like it doesn't have the best coverage. I'm guessing it's multi-strike that's causing it to repeat. The swipe attacks are fine. You know, ultimately what I'm looking for here, and the reason I like Chains of Command as much as I do. I think if I had to boil it down to one or two things, I would say what I like most about it is how automated it is. At the start of a map, I press a flask, and that's all I need to press. With banners, I don't mind pressing a zoom button. Right? Like press a button, you go fast, you feel the impact a lot more than say how I'm feeling the impact of block right now. Like, am I hearing vegan? Oh, I just realized it's not vegan, it's freaking me. I was like, why am I hearing vegan? Yo, can you tell like I have not played duelist in my PoE career? So if I actually gave this guy damage, oh yeah, let's stay in the range until it expires. See, we actually get to 100%, like full banner before it drops. So even in single target, we're chilling. But I think this also has more duration on it. Yeah, it does. Like, look at where he's going. Look at this fucker. Look at where he is. That's not good. That was an explode. I think that's another thing. He's not letting me see the explodes. I think they explode pretty well. I just think right now, I mean, he doesn't have the most damage either. There's some anti-synergy going on with his helmet and his weapon, because I didn't design this build around this weapon. I was supposed to craft a weapon that I would then use, which I just haven't crafted. Void Forge is probably a much better weapon for this. Do I want to invest in a Void Forge on a build that I am not going to play for a long time? I don't think that's a very smart idea. I don't think it's the smartest idea I've had in a while. Because at the end of the day, if he did more damage right now, I probably feel better about the build. Like, that would probably be something I would think about the build and think, oh, not that bad, you know? Look at him go. 1,000,000 attacks a second. Reminds me of Quinn. How much have I invested in the AG now? Without the helmet, I guess with the helmet, because I was going to use a Wilma's Requital. The Wilma's didn't work out because he got Ancestral Bond. I didn't know they inherited the Keystones, but in any case, he has like 14 Divines, maybe less. His helmet is the expensive one, which is 4 Divines. His weapon was 3 Divines, and that's it. His chest piece was 50 Chaos. His boots were... He's using Ralakesh. I don't remember if Ralakesh was up to a Divine. I don't think so. It might have been. No, Solar Ascension, his gloves were up to a Divine. His gloves were like 1.5-ish. Give or take. So Solar Ascension, Ralakesh wasn't up to Divine. Garb the Ephemeral wasn't up to Divine. Helmet was 4. Weapon was 3. But the problem is his helmet and his weapon a bit anti-synergistic. So I might switch his weapon. Because I didn't design this build around the weapon, which is why I still gave him the helmet anyways. But his weapon treats enemies' resistances as inverted, so you actually don't want to reduce their resistances, you want to increase it. So his helmet's reducing every enemy res by 10. It's not helping his damage, it's actually reducing it, because instead of being like 40 minus 40, it's now going to be 30 minus 30. So he's going to treat as minus 30 versus minus 40. But yeah, I think at its core, even if I invested into this build and I got his damage up and his DPS felt decent, I don't like his AI. I think I actually really dislike his AI. I hate that I would be... I'll show you what I hate. I think I already did in the last map. I can actually show it. Also, just for shits and giggles, I probably die here, but I don't even care anymore. I'm gonna go Defiance Banner. I want movement speed. I went banners for movement speed. I'm just gonna dodge attacks. But I hate how if I, like, let's say I'm going to switch to Defiance to show what I actually wanted to show. So let's say there are a bunch of enemies here. Like, watch. There's a bunch of enemies. There could be some hitting me. There could be some hitting me. And he just wouldn't care. He's going for... Once he's targeted one, he's going for that one. And if he can't reach that one, he's going to stop attacking. Like, look at him. I'm here eating damage. He's all the way there. If I convocate him, he might still run out there. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he does. You never know with him. But yeah, that's kind of been the thing I didn't like the most about, I guess, this build. But to be fair, now that he has a bit of steroids on his movement speed, I think he's clearing a lot quicker. Like, now he has the movement speed to go ignore me faster. Wait, this movement speed is why I wanted to play banners in the first place. As much as capping block is nice and all, at its core, I wanted to mess around with this movement speed. I'm going to stay in the range or area, yada yada. Good luck hitting me. I do see DPS, but I'm fast. Yeah, I'm fast. But yeah, at the end of the day, when I think about it, I have two options when it comes to running banners on the champion. Genuinely two options. I either decide or settle on using one banner, and then I can have that one banner up almost permanently. In this case, movement speed. I just can't gain valor during the banner, but I can, the moment I leave the banner, I can then get as much, I can get a lot of valor pretty much, and then pop it again. But yeah, that's the one way. The second way is to not run chain of commands. I leave chain of commands alone, leave the investment that would take, because it would be an investment into the weapon, into the things that would make chains of command good. And instead, I would then run permanent banners, but I also have to make it worth it, not going. I have to make it worth it, not going. What's his face? Witch. What does the witch provide? 10% more damage, 20% more max life, and this is minion, by the way. Leech. Life at 40% life as ES. Attack cast speed on each aura. Early res. Potentially block, and potentially 100% fizz as chaos, and then wither on top of that, or AoE. So I have to make it work DPS wise. What I'm replacing it with has to account for the 10% more damage we are losing. And defensively, I need to make sure my regen is, it doesn't have to be up to, but it is strong enough to where I don't miss leech. And then I need to make sure, like, and then the third thing I need to make sure is my minions are still tanky. If I can make sure of these three things, I think it can be a successful build. I just need to make sure of these three things, and it to be a good build. The question is how. For damage, we have War Banner. Easy, no brainer. Go for a melee minion. Call it a day. That's one. We have Rallying Cry or War Cries. We can give them Fizz as Fire from Inferno. We can give them our weapon stats from Rallying. We can give them flat crits from Battle Mage. And then from the War Cries, we have 96, near 100% more. I think it was like 96 when I calculated, but like 96% more melee Fizz. And of course, if you're going Perfidy, then you don't need to worry about not running it, because you can just put it down on bosses, and you know, that's it. You put it down on bosses, they have the more damage, they kill the boss. GG, good game. But if you're not running Perfidy, then you now have a choice to make. You either go you either just full send Defiance, because you can't gain while you're holding a banner, or while you have a banner down, so you can realistically only have one banner down at a time. So what would happen is you drop your banner, you have the buff, you run out of its range, you pick up the charges, and then your Warcry pops, and then hopefully you have max max charges gained, or max valor gained rather, and then you can drop it again. I want to test something about having 2 war cries on auto exertion. These war cries do not have fully have like the increased cooldown recovery that this will have. And I'm also probably going to get cooldown recovery rate on the tree as well. Like with Perfidy. Yeah, with Perfidy, once you leave the range, you already have it. Like if I turn off auto exertion, I drop it, I leave the range. Okay, I'm at 75. Okay, so it's not perfect. But it just needs like one set of cries. Like 24, yeah, we're back to 105. So long as the cry happens, we can maintain high movement speed. And this is where cooldown recovery rate for war cries comes into play. But yeah, we can have that. That is permanent 100% spell suppressor. Just by pressing that one button, you're suppressing all spells. Defensively, I still need to figure out attacks, because if I go Eternal Apple, then, well... If I go Eternal Apple, then I can't go buffing War Cries, because at the core of this, I also don't want to piano. I should say that too. I do not want to piano. If I was fine with pianoing, War Cries, then it would be a no-brainer how I give them power. I drop my banner, I drop 3 War Cries on their head, and I call it a day. And then I do the same thing on the next pack. Drop that piano, next pack, drop that piano, and keep going with this. Or I can automate them, either ignore the effect of War Cries, or lean into the effect of War Cries. Either way I do it. Either way I do it is fine. Hmm. One million minions do we have? You know what? For now, let's look at Rax's video on D4 before I forget, because we do need to keep up to date on what's happening in Diablo, just so we don't, so we know what's going on. I kind of have an idea, because I was watching parts of the live stream, but might as well brush up on it. And in the meantime, I'm also going to be thinking about how we can leverage this build. Oh, this is a stream. There we go. Summary.
Okay, so
this is a 35-minute summary? It's a 35-minute summary. Yippee. we might break this up into multiple streams. Let's do the first. I want to say 10 minutes. I don't know if I can come in for 10 minutes, but like, let's do the first 5 to 10 minutes. Oh, you haven't seen anything? Okay. Well, let's check it out regardless.
They want you to blast more. They want you to be more efficient, have autonomy over your character, milestones, more power-ups, level up your alts, do more challenges. This is the thing that I'm most interested in. So the new max level is 60. You get 10 more skill points. There's a bunch of new paces. And they said the hardest difficulty was current Torment 2. Oh, hi, Callie. Yeah, hi. How you doing? You all right? Current.
Sure. Let me know if this is enough.
Torment 2 plus 45 monster levels.
Is this fine?
So if you're like not leveling an alt, or if you're not playing like a Blood Surge minion necro, just walking into Helltide and having it 45 levels higher is like borderline unthinkable. That would be so crazy difficult.
All right.
So it's going to be very interesting to see. I'm very interested to see when the PTR spawns next week, if this is even possible.
So what he's talking about is they changed the way levels work, kind of. They've changed the way you get your Paragon points, and now they took the max level from 50 to 60. So you're going to get 10 extra skill points, and then they changed world tiers from being world tier 1 to 4. They made it like difficulties. I think it's like difficulty 1 to 4 or something like that. I don't know. I didn't get to the part where they compared the different difficulties, but TLDR, it's from what I think I heard, it's like having mind cage for different types of content. So you can have the one content, and that one content would have monsters 10 levels higher. So I think that's what he's talking about, where you spawn in level 1 and then you go to the hardest difficulty, and they are like level 40 something and you're level 1. So like, how do you handle that? I think that's what he's talking about.
I'm very interested to see when the PTR spawns next week, if this is even possible to even start off with that. And we'll have to see. They're squishing the numbers. I'm always massively in favor of this because, as they said, when you're hitting for trillions of damage and then you get 10% more damage or whatever, if you add a 0 to a trillion damage, you're never going to notice it. It doesn't mean anything. They're gonna adjust the systemic monster formulas. It's just gonna smooth the experience. I guess we'll see next week. They scale to your level always. They scale to the pit tier. And this was a huge problem. I actually wrote Blizzard a paragraph complaining about this today, about specifically the pit, the way that the pit was laid out, which is exactly what they talked about. So I was so glad to hear them say that clearing the pit is just a formality. You clear it instantly, and then you fight this like 10-minute boss. It's very lopsided, and they said that they fixed it. And you know, the crossbows that are one-shotting you off screen, hopefully this is going to happen a lot less.
We've had this crossbow issue since beta. Can we just admire how long it's been an issue and how long people have complained about it and how it's still an issue, even though they have addressed it multiple times. Because whose idea was it to put a mob that can shoot off screen for 1,000 for more damage than you can take?
Obviously that's a win.
Like that's a weird design choice.
So I actually really liked the drawing that Colin had on the campfire. I actually think that was pretty much exactly right, where a lot of the things just become super obsolete. For example, the current strategy in the game is to play Helltide until you get to the capstone, and then you essentially just do Infernal Hordes forever, except for you go sneak in some Nightmare Dungeons to get your glyphs and your glyph XP. The pit is like completely obsoleted. Helltide becomes obsoleted very quickly. If you're not doing tormented bosses or T7 or T8 Infernal Hordes, you don't actually do anything. World Tier 3 is very strange. You only stay in World Tier 3 for a brief moment.
Yeah.
The whole thing is very bizarre.
The goal of World Tier 3 is to stay there as little time as possible. So you try to get into it at like level 28, then by level 4, if you can, level 45, you go do it. Then you're in World Tier 4. If you can't, you shoot for level 50. You do not wait past level 50. Actually, it's actually very, very funny how the state of Diablo
and doesn't work. So when the drawing that he put up there, a lot of people were laughing at it, were actually almost perfectly illustrated what happens. So now the pit is going to govern essentially everything, which actually raises a lot of questions, which I'm sure.
Let me see.
Yeah, we'll look at the patch notes, guys. We'll do that next. It's gonna be a long day.
I think this is the drawing he's talking about. I think this is the drawing in question, where this content might be making these things obsolete. I have to assume this is the thing in question.
We'll look at the patch notes. So, for the pit, now it's 5 pit tiers for the normal difficulties that you start with: normal, hard, expert, and penitent. And then you get 15 pit tiers per torment difficulty. And
okay, so there's four standard. So this is like Diablo 3's difficulty system, right? Because I didn't play Diablo 3 all that much, but this is like Diablo 3's difficulty system, where you had your normal ones and then you go into torment, and then torment was like well, not infinite scaling, but I think there were like 16 torment levels, and each torment tier was like we could give you better gear than the last one, and yeah, but there really wasn't too much changing except exactly the same up to tier 16. Yeah, something like that. So and this is 15 tiers per torment difficulty. So there's 4 torment difficulties in this one. Okay.
They describe this phenomenon at the start of Diablo 4, which is still in the game, where the monsters actually become smarter and more deadly as you increase the world tier levels. It's not all that noticeable right now, probably because the power creep is so high.
It used to be noticeable.
They said that this intensity is going to change dramatically in the expansion, and the differences between you pumping up the difficulties between these 4 initial ones and then the 4 torment ones will be tremendous. Yeah, so it's built into the game, but not at a very high level, but it will be way.
Why does this sound very awkward for minion builds? Maybe the meta has to go something that taunts. You know, if you go something that taunts, maybe they just ignore it. You really never know.
Higher in the expansion. So for the example they gave is, if a monster on the first difficulty is doing a big smash, they'll just smash in place. But maybe at the highest difficulty, they'll do the smash way faster and they'll target you. Like they'll be able to move it, so they'll get a lot smarter. And they said you will absolutely feel this in the expansion. So it's not just going to be a function of them getting more HP and more damage. They're actually
The
going
expansion
to be
is October, if I remember
monsters.
correctly.
So then you get at level 60, you unlock the first 20 tiers of the pit. And I'm making some assumptions here, but based on what they said, if pit 20 unlocks T1 and then it's 15 pit tiers to unlock the other torment levels, I'm guessing the capstones are gone. And now it's these pit tiers. So then another question that this raises is, if pit 20 unlocks a torment tier, is it now like some kind of fixed dungeon? And I'm guessing the answer is no, because the pit is currently random and they didn't.
There's something I don't fully understand here. So there's 5 pit tiers per standard difficulty. So this is 5, 10, 15, 20, correct? So once you hit level 60, you basically are done with the pen. You basically unlock everything. And then you have to beat 20 to unlock tier 1 difficulty. Then you have to go in the pits and beat 35 before you unlock tier 2, and you keep going until 65 or 4. And at that point, I think it's 70 for the highest. Pit 100 is the highest. So I guess you're not meant to hit 100. So does this make the pits irrelevant in tier 4? Because once you start pushing like pit 100 in the live version, you're kind of already at the point where like there's really no use in doing this. Like you would get better returns if you farmed a lower difficulty. This is just for bragging rights, and you don't realistically hit 200. So is that what pit in tier 4 torment is gonna be like? Or is there like going to be like a 10 level buffer to where this is still going to be more efficient for your time, and it's worth doing in tier 4, but then after that it becomes exponentially harder and not meant to be clearable? I don't know.
Say otherwise. So this entire system is pretty much identical to Diablo 3's.
That's how I'm understanding, and also the same as D3 and Greater Rifts. No point in doing the hardest, just what you can do the fastest. Yeah, pretty much. That's the current state of the pits.
And a lot of people seemed very disappointed by this. That's what I saw a lot in
by what?
You're going to see this called to Diablo 3's. You're going to see this theme a lot. And a lot of people seemed very disappointed by this. That's what I saw a lot in the chat. And when I've thought about this, I'm not sure that it's the Diablo 3 systems that plagued Diablo 3. The problem was not necessarily, I think as Colin put it in the campfire, it's not that there were 16 or 20 difficulties that made the game struggle. It's the fact of how the progression through those tiers went. You don't go normal, hard, expert, master, T1, T2, T3. That's not how it goes whatsoever. You go hard and then to like T1, and then you finish your season chapter 4 journey very quickly, and then you're in like Torment 16. So like the whole progression system was non-existent, really. It exists, but it's just you just jump to the end. So they have a system that looks like Diablo 3, but as they stated,
one thing I want to say, in their team that has presented in the past, like how many campfire chats, I would say Colin is without a doubt more in tune with what the player base wants than seemingly anyone else on the panel, or at least because there are very few things Colin says that are not a hit with chat or with whatever else. And I would wager that at its core, it comes down to Colin plays the game, and it's less of this is just a job for me, and more of I want to make this a better experience for myself and others. And I think it's such an asset to have him in there. And I think honestly, he might be a big reason why Diablo is even moving in the right direction now.
Going up these 15 tiers will be very difficult. It's not something that you're going to do in a few hours. So it's we'll see. We'll see on the PTR, but the concept of that for me, I think works. If it is as they wanted to design it, if it does actually feel that way and it plays that way, I think it could be fine. If it's like Diablo 3, where we walk in there and we are very easily able to move from T1 to T4, I think it's going to be a rip and it's going to need to be retuned.
So what happens to Nightmare Dungeons? Because it sounds like once you finish with Penitent, the pit is all you want. You just want pits. Like that's how you get to the tougher content. It's presumably where you'd get the best gear. So where does Nightmare Dungeon fit in this? And on top of that, where does Nightmare Dungeon's difficulty fit compared to everything else in the same like difficulty, so to say?
And so when you hit T1, when you're
Are glitch moving someone else? Exactly my question. Oh, and I remember something else I saw. There is now a maximum amount of Paragon boards you can have. I think it's like 5 in with your starting board included, so you can only have like 4 extra boards maximum. That's all I heard about the Paragon board. I think they are reworking that system, so even glyphs I think are being changed. I think some of the boards had their legendary nodes changed. There's a lot that's changed in the Paragon board.
Pit 20 and you finally unlock T1, you can get all of the best items in the game in Torment 1. Which is going to be very good for the casual players. You don't have to level up to T4 to get the best items in the game. And the majority of the people that play the game are very casual. We all know that. But there is an incentive for the blasters to reach Torment 4. And that is the amount of loot that you will get. So your chances at getting the very godly loot will just go up.
Exactly what I'm thinking.
So, for example, the tormented bosses, if they cost 10 materials to summon on T1, they will also cost 10 materials on T4. You could get the mythic uniques, you get all the best gear at T1, but on T4, you'll have a much higher chance.
And yet, we're not getting a loot filter? How does that work? Like, actually, how does that work? Unless they implement a system where where rare stop dropping and only legendaries dropping like Torment, then I'm okay with that. But by T4, if the amount of items you drop is way more than T1, then we're gonna have one or two issues. Either not enough items drop in T1 to where you only drop like, let's say, 1 or 2 uniques every map, or you're dropping like 30 in T4 and you have to sort through all 30 and nobody wants to deal with that. Now you can say, you know, just pick up greater affixes, and I mean that is an option, but why can't I hide everything else? Or better still, why can't the loot, I mean, I don't say the loot upgrade to where it only shows me greater affixes, but they need to call some of that loot. There's way too, I see it being way too much for how much, like it's going to be inventory simulator. You spend 5 minutes mapping, then you spend 5 minutes dealing with your inventory every single map. Not gonna lie, moving to D3 like systems isn't super interesting to me, but it's all personal preference. It depends on how it's implemented. I would say it's weird that you're going back to D3 style gameplay, but at the same time, if it is done right, then it could work, because at its core, D3 was not bad because of the systems it had per se. It was bad because of how those systems were implemented. It was bad because going through the tiers of torment was just, it was like once you started a new season, to my understanding, it was basically a do all these checklists and then quit the game. Oh, get someone who's already gone through everything to just carry you through all the levels, and then until you're like able to handle a certain level, a tier of content. People would literally just allow you to leech and gain a ton of XP, and then all you're doing is playing for the season journey and potentially grinding for billions and trillions and of damage, which it's just a check. You're just doing checklist stuff. You're not really enjoying this moment to moment game. Like, no, it's just you hop into a greater rift, you blow through everything, you're done. You do the same thing until you're the highest level, you're done with your season journey, and then you quit. Yeah, it's like literally 6 minutes. Like I still remember what happened. I think while I was waiting for Diablo 4, I bought Diablo 3 and I gave it a try. And I remember going through the campaign. I had fun, yada yada. It was a chill experience. Then I think someone offered to power level my character or something. And before I literally blinked and I was like 100 levels higher or something. Like I in that span of like 5 minutes, I got more XP than I had gotten in the days leading up to that point. And this was just the norm. Like, you know how I feel about okay, you know how I feel about PoE and how I feel and generally how I feel about leveling, where I like going from 0 to hero. I like using the skill as early as I can. I like seeing how it is when it doesn't have damage, and then scaling up the damage, and then seeing what it's like when it's when I'm a god. That is my preferred playstyle. That does not exist in Diablo 3. You literally spawn in, you ask for a carry, and then you're a god, and then you just all you're doing is grinding. Maybe at best you're grinding for gear or bets for slightly better gear or something.
So
it was like weird.
Progressing through this is supposed to be very difficult and very rewarding. Again, if it plays like that, it's going to be good. Another thing about it is, if you think about Diablo 4,
it's fun to play and learn. Even if it sucks, you feel like you have options to try. I liked how easy it was to respec. I feel like there was something I didn't particularly like. I feel like it had to do with set items. I didn't like set items because I felt almost pigeonholed into certain build types and how they were just by the de facto stronger than everything else. I could be misremembering what it is that I had an issue with, but I think it was that. Or something along those lines.
Currently.
And also I think grinding for those items was also kind of iffy. Where you would have to do the same content that you don't find challenging, but you're just doing it over and over again to like basically keep pulling the lever in a slot machine until you do drop it, or until you get the vendor, whatever her name was, the random item vendor to give you the item. You had to use what the devs boss for that season. You only used sets. Yeah, so like I don't know, I don't like that. If there were sets in PoE, I wouldn't have nearly as much fun. I won't say. Let me not say that. If there were sets and they were the clear strongest things to play, I wouldn't have fun making builds.
A lot of their systems are very confusing. If you were just starting Diablo 4 today and you had never played it, it's very strange. There's the pit that's only in the end game, and there's 200 tiers, but like level 100 pit is completely different difficulty than Nightmare Dungeon 100 is a completely different difficulty than Infernal Horde 8. So they're doing this also to streamline the activities, where you're essentially now you're just saying you're playing on T2. Now you should have a great idea, no matter what you're doing, how hard the game really is. So that will help. So there is one thing.
So how do Nightmare Dungeons in the different tiers then work? Is it the same? Is it following the same pit numbering? Do you only get to Nightmare 20 by T1?
That I have a looming question on, which I think is probably the most important question. So The pit is currently like GRs, but they're really not like GRs. The pit currently, even as the devs admitted on the live stream, is not really that fun. You run through the first part and you annihilate it. And then if you're pushing a really high tier, then you have like a super long boss fight. Okay, so they said that they fixed that. They said that they balanced it a lot more. So that's good. We'll see how that plays. But if we're going to be spending all of our time in the pit, if this is going to be the thing that we're going to be crawling through, to progress our character, my number one question is, how fun is that going to be? Yes, it is great to fix that problem of, oh, I don't do anything in the actual rift, and then I do everything at the boss. Balancing that is, I think, one piece of the puzzle. But my first question to Blizzard would be, do you have anything else planned for the pit to make this more fun? What do you have planned to make this more fun if this is such an integral core function of the game? So we'll have to see what.
Also, can I just say about Diablo 4 in general? Their dungeon design is weird. Like nightmare dungeons, regular dungeons. It's weird that. Let me use nightmare dungeons because I think that's what I have in mind right now. I find it especially weird that it's basically just you hop in, then you have to run one dungeon, and then you reach a midway point where it basically ties two different dungeons together, like two different dungeons that exist in the game, and then you have to go clear a second dungeon. Keep in mind the objectives are very weird. You might be tasked to rescue all the prisoners here, or kill every single enemy in this zone. Then in the next zone, you're tasked with just killing blood boils, or going to open a gate, or finding the key to the like. There's no reason for those quests to even begin with. Just have us progress through it. But then you have this awkward stitching of two different dungeons, and then you complete the quest of the one, you complete the quest of the other, and then you go fight Bloodseeker, as you said. you then go fight the Blood Bishop, whatever his name is, or the Capstone 2 boss, or I mean the bosses are boring, we all know this, but anyways, all this to say, like I don't enjoy running those dungeons. I don't enjoy the tasks. I don't enjoy I think that's one thing I actually liked about season 3. As much as people hated the vaults, one thing I really liked about them is they always had the same objective. Go get this. Every single time you're going to kill stuff and you're going to get stuff. Like, you know what you're going to do before you go in, and it doesn't matter which one you go in, you're going, all you need to do is you're going to kill stuff. You don't have any objective other than kill stuff. It's not telling you to kill all this stuff, because that'd be annoying, but it's just telling you to kill stuff, you know? Oh, you just dropped a Bloodseeker. The worst drop you could get in PoE with a T0 unique that literally sucks. It could have been another mage. Okay, so it's a belt. I actually do not know what the Bloodseeker even looks like. I don't know. I do not know this item. PoE wiki. So you could have dropped a mage blood. So you got lucky, but you got unlucky at the same time. Life leech with this weapon is an instant, yada yada yada. PoE DB. Do I have the thing for King's March Dusts? No, I do not. These are all the upgrades. There's a particular page I'm looking for, but you can just you can send it to for Dust. I could find the link on Discord. Someone send it to me. I just have to go look for it. Not even that much of a. It's not even that. Yeah, there we go. I'm on the same page. I'm just on the wrong tab. Disenchanting 11. Where the hell is the one I'm looking for? How do I go from there to here? That is my question. I guess I just remove 3 letters from here, baby. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So you dropped the Bloodseeker. Where is the Bloodseeker? Please don't tell me it's trash. I mean, it's still a million dust. Enjoy. Yeah. My condolences. Don't even look at it. Did you get a bad roll too? I mean, it could be worse. You got more than half roll on the 1 rollable start, so you have that going for you, which is nice. That's so sad.
6 pages here, then we'll look at the 10,000 pages next. Okay, so you get
there's always next time.
Levels, you get more gold, you get more XP, you get more loot, and we talked about the bosses. Okay, itemization. They're bringing the item level of anything in the current game down to 540. They're changing the affix bands, and they're adding additional bands for the expansion so you can get higher levels. At level 60, you can get level 750 loot, and they said that the progression from level 51 to 60 when you get new items will be tremendous. So that I think is very, very important. I'll give you an example.
Oh my god, instant leech claw.
PTR for I can't remember what season it was, season 3, and
that's a big rip.
Like level 10, I was killing monsters, and I keep getting, yellow swords that have plus 20 damage, plus 30 damage. And then for some weird reason, a monster dropped me a sword that had like plus 250 damage. It was like 10 levels higher than me. I initially thought that a player rode by and dropped it for me, kind of like a gift from Santa. They were just trying to feed me good items. But no, it happened again. It was actually dropping off of the monsters, and it was a bug. And they said, oh, it's a bug, but I told them, well, that felt really good. Like, I just keep getting this steady diet of like plus 20 damage here, plus 30 damage here. When you actually magically dropped me something that was plus 200 damage, I about shit myself. I was so happy. Okay, so I understand this was a bug, but
and they go
you can actually put that into the game. That actually felt really good. It sounds like that's what they did, and maybe they were inspired from that bug on the PTR a few seasons ago, because they said the items that start dropping at 51 plus will have major power increases. That's gonna feel way more fun to level than getting these stupid ass increases all the time. The same thing with ancestrals. Sacreds, I think, are gone from the game, and now ancestrals are the super chase items. They can start dropping in T1. They're very, very rare. This is the beginning of your forever items as you craft on them and stuff.
Okay.
The eye level can go all the way.
One thing. I really hope they have changed in some way, shape, or form. It's not masterworking. The other thing that's not masterworking, that is masterworking. I forget the name. The one where you apply an affix. Why is my brain not working? You put an affix on an item. It has potential in the name. That thing. You all know what I'm talking about. That thing, that system, I hope got changed, because having only 5 tries and modifiers being weighted, and the fact that once it's done, like once you use all 5 tries, it's done. You can't, your item might just be bricked at that point. I'm hoping that system has gotten changed in some way, shape, or form. My hope for it is I don't even want too much. It's fine that it's capped at like 5. Just give me the option of picking the last thing I had or the new thing. Don't make it so I can't roll for better skelly mage damage because I know if I roll off of it, I might not roll back on it. You know, like, come on.
They're guaranteed greater affixes. You can only get greater affixes on Ancestrals, if I remember correctly. They have 2 tempering slots instead of 1.
Tempering, that's the thing.
Full other items can only get 4, and you get the higher aspects with the +5 levels on the powers in the expansion. So these are going to be your super chase items, and these are going to be, I guess, the things where if they drop on the ground, you're actually going to feel like $1,000,000. So these 2 things I think are super, super important. I think it's kind of similar to this, the pit fun level. You need to let me have some fun, and one of the best ways to have fun is to actually get really meaningful item drops. So like the first time you get an ancestral weapon drop, it's supposed to be 1,000,000 times better than what you already have, even as you're leveling up in 51 plus. So these are the kind of moments that Diablo 4 needs that are kind of lacking right now. So now with the Paragon, so the ranks of the glyphs can go up to 100 now. They turn into a legendary glyph at 46 with a super major power, multiplicative power. They have 2 radius increases. One thing that was very
Wait, what? So glyphs go up to 100 now?
The ranks of the glyphs can go up to 100 now. They turn into a legendary glyph at 46 with a super major power, multiplicative power. They have 2 radius increases. One thing that was very bizarre about the radius increases is half of the radius increase goes off of the board. So, I mean, the glyph sockets, I guess maybe there are some in the center of the board, but any board that's on the edge, like it just goes off of the board. So that was weird. I wonder if they have a solution for that or something. So now they changed the upgrading.
They better.
The upgrading of the glyphs is now in the pit, which is your main.
So Nightmare Dungeons don't exist anymore.
And then they moved the masterworking materials to Nightmare Dungeons. Now, what I was thinking when they said that was exactly what Colin said. And this switch actually makes a lot more sense. Like, it might seem like on face value, it's just like, it's a stupid switch. It doesn't matter. You're just changing 2 things. But it does matter. Because you felt forced to do like a side activity to level your glyphs. But now it's a part of the main activity, which actually gives you a lot more freedom to play the game however you want when you're not progressing. So that's way better that you're upgrading the glyphs in. I'm not sure I agree, but I want to hear what he has to say. The pit. And then when you move the masterworking materials to Nightmare Dungeons, the problem with the pit is you're supposed to play it perfectly. You're supposed to play it efficiently. You're supposed to run straight to the portal, go to the boss, kill it, and then you get like this fixed amount of materials. That's very boring. It's very repetitive. It's not fun. When you move it to Nightmare Dungeons, now when you go the wrong way, you go down a big long hallway and there's an event, every elite pack, every event is going to drop you more materials. So you're not penalized for exploring. So,
I mean, that makes sense because regardless of how much you explore, you are not going to get more glyph XP. So you're more incentivized to, but at the same time, when it comes to the pits, let me just try to sort my thoughts. When it comes to the pits, you are trying to kill as many monsters as quickly as you can. It's not like that you just have a door you can get to. You have to kill up to a threshold and then go into the portal and then do the boss. So by removing the, I guess, materials from there, this all boils down to how strong Nightmare 100 is and like where Nightmare Dungeons even fit in the game. But it makes sense to have like to be incentivized to kill stuff on the side with Nightmare Dungeons and not feel like, oh, it's just making you spend more time in this content that you don't want to be in. But the main power at endgame is going to be Nightmare Dungeons, because that is how you get your perfect items. That is the system you have to spam on repeat to get your four masterwork boost skeletal mage weapon, or your four, you know, that is where you get that material. So once your glyphs are fully leveled, which they will get to at some point, which is exactly what we would end up with in like season 1, season 2, you have no reason to push the pits. You just don't the pits. And for content that you are not meant to get to the end of, I don't know. Like, I feel like you should be incentivized to try to push as far as you can, but when it comes to getting levels on like your glyphs, that's just not efficient. You're not going to push as far as you can because, well, you're getting less levels. And once you hit the cap, it's just you're down the pit. So if for some bizarre reason you finish leveling up your glyphs while you are in tier 2, you would then have to grind tier or pits, which you're getting nothing from, until you hit tier 4. Meanwhile, you still want to grind Nightmare Dungeons because you still have materials you can get to upgrade your items, because you still want to try your best to hit this particular masterwork. I don't know. Like I said, it all depends on how tough Nightmare Dungeons end up being, especially in like tier 4. If they like match up to pits, that would be weird. So that would mean we're not supposed to clear Nightmare 100s again, which, I mean, so long as the amount of XP we're getting is actually good, like we're not XP, I'm gonna have to switch my mind, but amount of materials we're getting per Nightmare Dungeon is fine overall, even if it's like from Elite and yada yada. So long as the number we're getting is reasonable and the difficulty doesn't feel like I'm wasting my time, I think it could be decent. Could be.
Oh, that's it's
actually very dependent on how everything is.
You might think. And then your Paragon level goes up to 300 now instead of 225, right? So it's plus 75, and it's shared across your characters on the same realm. So like hardcore and softcore still be separate. But if you're Paragon 250 and you make a new character, when you get level 60, your Paragon 2.
What do you mean Paragon level increase from 200? Oh, this means what, the amount of Paragon points? So now you can have 300 Paragon points, because before you could have 220, but that don't include renown. So maybe now it's 320, renown included.
250. Now here's the $1 million question.
Why cap the boards if you're going to give us some more?
Oh, is it 325? Okay, yeah. So it's plus 100. So okay, because the renown might be 25 and it might go to 325. Okay, yeah, maybe that's a good point. So this is the confusing part.
Give us more points and then capped our boards.
We got 100 more Paragon points, and they have capped the boards. We don't know if it's 5 plus the starter or capped at 5 including the starter, so it's 4 plus the starter. It doesn't.
I think it's 4 plus starter from the awarding.
It's the same thing
on Discord.
I understand the dilemma here. Currently in the Paragon system, all you do is try to get as many glyphs as possible. So like you get like 7 or 8 boards and you just go crazy. Unless you're a class that has very powerful legendary nodes, where you're going to go pick those up. A lot of times, the best strategy is just to get as many Paragon.
How you doing, whatever, people?
Glyphs as you can.
I guess.
Now,
thank you.
They want things to be punchier, I guess. So they're limiting you to only having 4 or 5 additional ones from the starter, whichever one it is. But they're also giving you 100 more points, which just means in all the boards you're going to get like almost all the rare nodes, all the glyphs, all the legendary nodes, and that's it. So really the only choice you will make pretty much will be which 4 or 5 boards are you going to pick. I understand how this would be good to like simplify the game.
That seems that sounds boring. Like, why are you limiting our decision making in this case? Made an AFK character and I realized AFKing is boring. At least like an AFK boss harvest, so that's chill. When you say AFK boss harvest, do you mean or shabby, or do you mean tier 4 plants? And also, fun fact about me and my relationship with AFK in PoE. I tried my best to stay away from T4 plants, so that's pretty chill. Especially if you can AFK the purple ones slam or the green ones circle thing, like that's pretty chill. But I try to stay away. I try to do my best to stay away from AFK in PoE, because the moment I turn it into AFK, it's gonna turn into RuneScape for me. And how RuneScape is for me is I put it on my side monitor, I AFK whatever the fuck I'm doing, and I watch a movie or something. And I'm trying to keep PoE away from being a side monitor game for me. Like like how I would play PoE is I'll just open Blights, AFK, and just watch whatever I'm watching. I just saw AFK on my Steam profile. Play on my main. I mean, if it works, it works. But I mean, your computer's gonna be sweating. It's gonna be sweating bullets.
The whole idea of making a really cool path and figuring out like a big.
Right now, we're seeing what exactly has been changed in D4's Vessel of Hatred. What they said during today's campfires, because I watched a bit of it, not too much. And I'm curious as to what has changed. I was initially just going to watch like 10 minutes of this, but I mean, I think a lot of us are actually kind of interested in what is being changed. I'm going to watch everything. You know nothing about D4, never seen anything about it. Really? Really? How did you intentionally like stay away from like information about D4, or do you just genuinely like you don't know anyone that plays it? Okay, so you intentionally avoid it. Okay, that makes sense. D4 is in a... Well, the TLDR is D4 started off in a very awkward spot. It wasn't worth, you know, the amount they charged for it initially. It's gotten better over time, but the more time passes, the closer, the more and more it drifts back to being D3. Except maybe the D3, or maybe how D3 should have been designed, but you know, they're using systems that were in D3. They're, you know, doing a lot of D3 related things now, and so I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see how it keeps playing out, I guess. I typically play Diablo here and there. I could play it at the start of a season. This season I didn't play Diablo because it was too close to PoE's League launch, and I always pick PoE over Diablo. So I might still mess around with it in further down the line, but right now we're still on PoE mode.
For your Paragon board is one of the only ways to really work.
You're never gonna play D4? Interesting. That's quite a commitment. I mean, I don't blame you. Are you gonna play PoE 2 though? Are you looking forward to PoE 2 based off of what you've seen so far?
Work on your character and make, I don't know, a really cool pathway for what you want to do. What I would prefer that they do instead of this, instead of limiting my boards, make the boards better. You're not giving me a reason to go get these yellow nodes. On a lot of classes, on a lot of different builds.
Okay, I will def try it. I was curious if your mic was like you might play like we might try it. Like, why might? Why it's free. But yeah, I think PoE 2 would definitely be I think PoE 2 will definitely be good. I don't know if it's for everybody. It might be a jarring switch, but at the same time, I think everybody could potentially find a way or a home in PoE 2, regardless of your preferred playstyle. If you just enjoy throwing a billion projectiles, I think there would be ways for you to do that. And if you like more modest playstyles, or I don't know, we'll see. It could also just be that there's a large player base that doesn't like PoE 2. So we'll have to see November. I will say I am looking forward to it. Like I'm just, all I'm doing is counting down the days until PoE 2.
You're not giving me a reason to go get these legendary
But yeah, this
nodes.
take,
it's not a choice.
I like it.
I picked
it's
the
the
2 or 3
truth.
that I want, and now I'm just stacking glyphs into oblivion.
Because like if you look at minion builds in general, we just care about dead cult leaderboard, and then we care about golem hulky monstrosity, and that's it. Everything else is just glyph. We don't really care about the notes. Oh, this one gives me poison res. Creepy. This gives me damage to elites. Okay, this gives me can I remember another stats? All res and maybe attack speed, maybe? I don't even remember. You know when PoE 2 is going to come out? Well, early access, as I think is being called now, is set to launch November 15. So that is the day. Keep it in mind. It was announced like last week or last 2 weeks during Gamescom.
If you would just buff them and give me a real choice, then constructing a Paragon board would actually be fun. If you gave me, Boiler, Macro, Woody, everybody at Maxwell, if you gave us a build and a class, and you had us each individually make a Paragon board for it, and then compare it, they would.
My only thing is, I obviously there isn't going to be another PoE 1 league before then, so this league is gonna be here for a while, like a proper while. So it's going to be finding ways to kill that time before that happens. I know Diablo comes out in like October. Do you play Torchlights? If you don't, I think it's worth at least trying it out, because Torchlight is the most PoE like ARPG outside of PoE that I have played so far. I like it. The graphics were something I had to get used to, and the first few times I tried it, it didn't quite stick. But the same thing happened to me with PoE, so I don't blame it for that. I think it's just a me thing. Oh yeah, I'm not talking about the OG Torchlight. I think it's from the same company though, but like I'm talking about Torchlight Infinite. So in case you don't know it, it's this one, Torchlight Infinite. So this is an ARPG. If you're wondering what it looks like,
Torchlight Infinite is a free-to-play cross-platform.
This is what the gameplay kind of looks like. It's very colorful compared to PoE, but the builds, the farming systems are kind of like PoE. There's a tree, there's a farming tree system that's kind of like the Atlas, where you pick the mechanics you want to farm. You obviously play a wide variety of builds. There are different classes. You can kind of, I won't say it is kind of as broad as PoE is, but the builds are more streamlined to classes in the sense that you're probably not playing someone sentry troops on a non-moto character or non-iris character, like that's probably not happening. But for the most part, you do have the flexibility to mess around with other stuff. But yeah, that ARPG is pretty good. When I tried to play, the tutorial bugged out and made me do the tutorial again, so I quit playing. Yeah, I think I haven't experienced any tutorial bugs. I don't know, but it's in a much better spot than when it is you probably played it, because they release a new league every season, and that's one thing I like about it is every season the league mechanic almost guarantees, or almost it's guaranteed to gold core. So every league there's more content to potentially farm for your loot than the next. There are still a few quirks that I'm not the biggest fan of, and there's still the whole pay to win thing that some people like. There's a pay to win aspect. How impactful it is up for discussion, but there is pay for power, not pay for power, it's pay for power, let's just say, because it gives you farming power at worst, you know.
Be, I would guess, 90% at least the same. And that's because you're not giving us choices. There is really no choice in which legendary nodes.
My guy is hitting his table.
Think about it. There really is rarely a.
It's PoE but pay to win. I don't say it's pay to win, because even the most extreme people, when it comes to saying it's pay to win, say it's like the impact of the thing you can pay for is, let's just say like 5%, 10% more loot as an example, right? So it's not like game breaking amounts of like stuff you pay for, but it's definitely there. It's not something that is not there, you know? So it's more pay to win than that, but you cannot buy items with money. You cannot buy in-game currency, to my knowledge, with money. You still have to play the game. It's like, all it does is it gives you it's like a spirit system you attach your character to, where when you have this spirit equipped, maybe you're dropping more chaos orbs, as an example, like 2% more chaos orb or 6% more chaos orb, depending on how much you invest in it, but like it's still like 2 to 6% or something, and you can get it free to play. It's just kind of cancer if you're starting late. At least if you started when the game released, you probably have all of them even free to play, but like I started last season, so I definitely don't have too many.
Rarely and a good incentive to go get these rare nodes. So I don't think cutting the boards is how I would solve that. Now we're just going to get even more of the same answer. Give us a reason and maybe add the boards, I think would be, yeah, it would be more in PoE's direction, which they have said in the developer interviews, I think during season 4, that they absolutely don't want the game to be like PoE. They don't want it to be that complicated. Fine, but I think some complication and some theory
oversimplifying it is not good.
So that's
TLDR.
my opinion on that, for what it's worth. They're simplifying tempering. Weapon tempering is always multiplicative now. It's not mixed and matched with other things. Offensive tempering is always additive. Utility is always size and duration. Now they said I think I heard them say most of the tempering manuals will only have 3 choices, but it's an absolute maximum of 4. And we heard in the announcement at Gamescom that there is also a tome of retempering or something, retempering scroll.
Finally.
So these changes, lowering the recipe.
They finally give us something to mess around with tempering, maybe increase. All right, whatever. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. Hopefully I see you around. Enjoy your AFK simulacrum / maybe blights and harvest. By the way, what build are you using to AFK harvest? Is it like an RF type build or an auto bomber?
And that combined with the scroll of retempering should result in less bricking of items. Your ultimates can now rank up, but you can still only equip 1. Then they talked about a bunch of things that the new classes are going to get. We can just probably cover these more next week. But barbarians are getting mighty throw. You throw it, it sticks in the ground, and it pulses for damage. It actually looks pretty good. One thing to understand about these skills. Some people were watching these skills.
By the way, can we just take a moment to realize it took them, what, season 5 now? Vessel of Hatred is what, 6? Something like that. And in the total of that time, they've added one skill for every class, and it's not even out yet. It's going to be out in the expansion.
And they're
one
kind of
skill.
looking at them like, okay, that kind of looks cool, but you know, it doesn't look that cool when you're using a vanilla skill with no powers. I mean, lightning spear sucks until you get everything for lightning spear, and you're building up all the conjurations. You know, werewolf tornado sucks until you get your tempest roar. There's a lot of skills that suck until you get everything. So it's very hard to judge how good these things will be until we actually try them with everything, which we'll try next week. The Mighty Throw I thought looked really good. They have new passes for Thorns and Ultimates and Fortify. There's a new legendary node with Earthquake spawns Dust Devils. There's a new unique helm that converts all their damage to fire.
Ugly bastard.
I'm just gonna go over this quickly
Lol.
because we will make builds. We'll make 1,000 builds. We'll try to break everything. Druids get Stone Burst. This could be really good, actually. You gather stones, you channel it, then you detonate it. It has a huge explosion. There was a legendary aspect that automatically puts it at maximum size. There's a lot of stuff for companions. They showed a video of you leading a wolf pack, and there were a bunch of werewolves just following the druid. That actually looks sick as hell. Soul Rift is
wait, what did I just see?
The druid.
Maybe we'll finally have a companion, an actual non-meme companion build. Companions get +4 ranks. Legendary node.
Pack, and there were a bunch. There's a lot of stuff for companions. They showed a video of you leading a wolf pack, and there were a bunch of werewolves just following the druid. That actually looks sick as hell.
It looks so chaotic.
Is kind of a head
I like
scratcher.
it.
It looks like Bone Storm 2.0. It looks kind of like the same thing. So I don't know. It's probably going to be better than Bone Storm with some of the stuff that they showed us. We'll have to see. I'm sure Macro and Chronix will be theory crafting that. It should be good. We'll see how it goes, but it's kind of like an overlap with Bone Storm there.
Hey, we're not on Necro here. Affliction makes enemies take 15x more damage, and curses deal more damage. It's a key passive, okay, and it makes curses offensive. Frailty, cursed enemies take 10% more damage and 10% more per second. They are cursed up to 40%. Okay. Okay. Legendary node. What the fuck are legendary nodes though? Is that supposed to be a skill? Unique, the Unmaker, Soul Rift's duration. God. So they added one unique. Okay, no. Okay, aspects. Soul Rift's duration increased by 8. Deals 20% of your shadow damage over time to pulse on enemies. Okay.
Be good. We'll see how it goes, but it's kind of like an
golem aspects.
There. This is the one that stood out to me that looks like it's pretty much gonna be the best if it's really strong. You channel throwing knives, which is
what
really
the fuck
exactly
is
like
this?
the Goblin Blaster build or the Brain Dead build in
that kind of looks cool.
Which were two of the absolute most infamous best builds ever in the game. So
yeah, it reminds me of that D3 build you typically see when anybody talks about D3, where it's just someone like gun slinging and just shooting around, and all you're doing is moving as fast as you can and automatically killing everything that's around you. I don't know what build this is. I don't know what class it is. I don't know how to build, but I just know that build. It's kind of like that.
You can move while you throw this, so if we can reach this to a power of the Brain Dead build or the Goblin Blaster, this is going to be the ultimate spin to win, obliterate everything build. Definitely have my eye on how powerful could this be.
Conjuration Familiar. Summon a familiar of the last skill cast periodically explodes, can have up to 6 at a time. Each time you summon a non-familiar conjuration, you have a 25% to spawn a familiar of the same element. Sork minion.
Sorcerers are going to get conjurations to summon familiars. You can have 3 different elements. There is a unique, I believe, that summons all of the different familiars. So you can have 6 of them out at a
so
unique,
these are the familiars.
You can have 3 different elements. There is
so this is the familiar. This is the familiar.
A unique, I believe, that summons all of
the. No, this is the familiar.
You can have 6 of them out at.
So basically, they just they just send themselves to, I won't say to their deaths, because they can attack multiple times.
Time. They also have powers for incinerate, charge bolts, and doing different elemental things. We'll have a different video where we cover everything about the classes.
That could be cool.
They had
Chest Shroud of False Deaths. If you have an attack in the last 2 seconds, gain stealth and 40% move speed. 333 damage on next attack after entering stealth. So what I'm hearing is this is a minion unique, where all you do is you run around and you're basically invisible. No one can see you, and while your minions are doing everything they should be doing. Giving to hatred, earning Lilith's favor, increasing your damage up by this. Slaughter enemies to briefly steal Lilith's favor from nearby allies. And 200% damage to angels and demons. What do you mean by steal Lilith's favor from nearby allies? So everybody has Lilith's favor? Question mark? What the fuck is Lilith's favor?
Two new mythic uniques. I could be completely wrong on this. When I looked at them, I don't know. Maybe they're going to be really good. 60% multiplicative damage is really good, and you can steal 60% from the other people. That, I don't know, could be good. 200% damage to angels and demons. They were snickering about this. Who knows what that means? Maybe something's going to happen. I have no idea. 1 to all passives is actually pretty crazy. There's a lot of passives on the passive tree. Getting 1 to all of them is pretty good. And then you enter and re-enter stealth and get 333% damage. I'm assuming, of course, that that's additive. I mean, we'll see. It's cool that they're adding more mythic uniques. We'll see how strong these actually are.
Okay, I think we're getting to the
quality of life. You can set your TP to your. You can set your hearth essentially from WoW. You can put your TP wherever you want to go. I've been asking for this since the alpha. Finally have it. We have a dungeon key inventory tab, a socketable inventory tab, a new stash tab, if I heard them right. The dungeon points, they were
one more
already
stash tab
removed from the game. I'm pretty sure it feels way better. They improved some of the dungeon layouts. The level up in Paragon points now show the number. The monster CC was lowered, and anything that had a long death now dies instantly. Thank God.
Thank God.
Okay, now they're adding rune words to the game. Now this is something I can add some context to, actually. So in Diablo 2, the thing that made rune words usually really strong is they would give you powers that you
I don't know what rune words
like
are, but I've heard the word so much.
Or you know, Breath of the Dying was
since D4 release.
Sword, or Grief, or I call Grief Ken Griffey Jr., you know, whatever. There's so many godly rune words. Spirit Sword, Spirit Shield, you know, whatever. So they want to bring back that same fantasy where you create powerful items. And then there's actually a ton of interesting things here. So when I heard about this, where we heard about this many, many years ago, where you have a prefix and a suffix and you combine it. My first thought is that sounds really bad. And everyone reacted that way. Everyone reacted that way when it was announced, and they actually took rune words out of the launch because they said it wasn't ready and they wanted to think about it some more. So then when I was talking to them in Seattle, we had a conversation about this. That's why I haven't mentioned it till now, NDA'd, but now it's out, so now we can talk about it. They said that they're kind of bringing back the fantasy in that they're going to give you powers from other classes, which I thought was important. That is what we need for rune words to feel like the original rune word system. We need barbarians casting Frost Nova or this or that or this or that. And then you can, so now that's kind of been leaked. A lot of the items have 2 sockets now, so you put like the prefix and the suffix. They're calling it the rune of ritual and the rune of invocation, and then it makes this rune word and it does crazy stuff for you. Okay. So when I was hearing about it, I was wondering, are rune words going to be impactful enough that they're actually going to influence the game, and are people going to be really not turned on to this because it's not going to be the rune words that they remember? And I didn't get to try them, but what I heard from the Blizzard team talking to them is you really have no idea how powerful these things are. They're borderline game breaking as they are, they make you so powerful. If you actually get the really, really good ones, you will see on the PTR. Like, there are crazy combinations.
I guess we'll see.
So I think once people, if that's true, once you go in there and you actually put them together, if they do make you feel like a god, which is the point of rune words, it is giving you powers from other classes. And this is just the beginning of the system, right? This is their launch of rune words. Of course, they can iterate on it over time. I think it could actually be very, very good. Then you're going to generate offering with your runes and then spend it to use the runes powers. And if you go over, if you gain a ton of the offering, then you can actually gain something called overflow with your rune words and get even stronger. You're going to unlock it in the campaign, and then the runes will drop in Torment 1 and all the things above. Again, you can get everything in Torment 1. You don't have to go higher, but if you go higher, you have a higher chance of getting it. Now, here's...
Each class shares 2 skills and the legendary aspect. So, like, there's 2 skills from each class that can be accessed through rune words.
You don't have to go higher, but if you go higher, you have a higher chance of getting it. Now, here's an interesting thing that I wonder how Blizzard's going to deal with it.
Decrepify doesn't seem fun on other classes.
Rune, and it's going to give you a new rune. It's guaranteed to be different, and you can get a higher rarity. It's very important for you to chase these legendary runes. You can actually craft mythic uniques with these runes. So you need 1 spark, and you get the runes, and bam, you can craft your mythic unique. You can craft your mythic unique, and the runes are tradable. So the $1 million question is, how will Blizzard deal with RMT? You know,
you can finally transfer Resplendent Spark
things within the first week. It's going to be all of the RMTers. They're just going to magically wake up with all of the mythic uniques, and we'll see what happens. They won't. I'm going to remember that you said that. People are saying that they won't. We'll see. This is going to be an interesting battle. How is Blizzard going to deal with RMT, or are they going to deal with it? I don't know. Maybe they just let it ride. The PTR starts next Wednesday. In the beginning, they want you to level up. They want you to feel the new progression system until Friday. And then if I understood them correctly, which I might not have, on Friday, then they're going to let you like boost, and you can level up to 50 or 60 full map class mechanics.
Should we try this next week?
Potions, aspects, paragons, everything.
They're working
on changing the Infernal Horde, so that's the only thing that won't be there. It's PC and BattleNet only. Everything that you heard above is going to be in there. Everything. They want to know how the journey feels. All the new skills, uniques, and passives. Break the game with the rune words. Believe me, we'll break it. Then they did Q&A. Armory is coming. Will there be more difficulty tiers? Thought this was a weird question because we just got new ones. Now we're asking for more. They said that they're going to be very measured in how they add them. They're not just willy-nilly going to add progression tiers. Nightmare dungeons now are going to give you your masterworking materials. You can
they still haven't
rune words.
They still haven't talked about about Nightmare Dungeon difficulty or how it scales. I don't know.
And you can't mix and match them. It's runes or gems in the item. I don't know why we'd ever use gems, but I guess maybe. Why cap the Paragon boards? They said they're not sure on it. They might redo it. Do you have to go to Kmart to change difficulties? They said that they added a bunch of new ways in the towns and at the different activities to change difficulties. I don't know why they don't remove all of them and just put it in the options menu. Escape options, change difficulty. Why don't they put it there? There must be a reason, but I don't know why they keep putting these statues everywhere to do it rather than just put in the options. Are glyphs now account wide? They said no, but they are very favorable for people leveling alts, so they might change it. What happens for Eternal players with loot? When they change your loot on the conversion, all your affixes will be max rolled, and there will be loot to chase if you're an Eternal player. You can put runes in anything with 2 sockets. The runes are stackable. They have their own tab. And there is also going to be info on Season 6, which we don't have yet. Which is going to be...
Okay.
I have no idea what Season 6 is.
We're done.
I'm not NDA'd, and I secretly know.
We're done We watched the whole thing. I hope we're all satisfied with that. Stayed way longer than I intended to there. But overall, it sounds okay. It sounds okay. Nothing mind-blowing. We'll have to see just what skills, I guess, are available via Rune Wards. And we'll see what kind of power we're gonna get from this season mechanic, I guess. The new leveling system, I mean, at least if it sounds like it's on the right track. I'm gonna save like opinions on if it's gonna be better or worse or yada yada until I actually play it and whatnot, right? So okay, it's time for me to upgrade this guy's helmet because there really is no reason for me to, I guess, allow him to keep rocking a Lear cast when I can clearly afford better. So let's change it. I kind of want to sell my life force for like 4 divines. Jesus, this shit is so expensive. $19K. Nope. $20K. $19.8. This figure right here. Yeah, that seems about right. This figure right here. Arcane, question. Do you know anything about 19.8? About that figure in particular? Hints. Think back on where you're from. Is there anything of significance with that in that particular number? Does anything strike you when you hear it? No, you don't. Okay. In case you're wondering what I'm referring to, is NYSE. The minimum pay you would get in NYSE 19.8 way back when. It's been increased since then, but like, you know. So whenever I see that number in my head, I think of that automatically. I don't even control it, it's just boom. Like there, as soon as I read number, I'm like, oh, you know, oh, this guy. I didn't know that. Yep. It was minimum wage until I think just after I did it, way back when. So now it's like what, 36 something along those lines. I don't know. Okay, mascot is Stitch Demon. Let's not mask. Oh my goodness, I almost bought the wrong thing. Crown of the Tyrant. I only care for as cheap as I can get it. So 3 vines. If you're gonna sell it, I'll take it. I doubt this guy's gonna sell it, but I'll take it if you're selling it. Yeah, it's a price fixer. Definitely not replying. I guess I'll pick a 4 divine one that has decent flat life. That's the best I can do. I've seen a 127. Okay, let's do max of 600, shall we? So the 4 divine, okay, let's do 650 because that clearly just cut out everything I'm looking for. Okay, so let's do maximum life. This guy posted his a few seconds ago. They were paid that much. Yeah, the original minimum wage was 19K, 19,800. This is Naira, of course. And now it's like 36K. I think it should still be 36K. I think people, I don't know if it's been increased. I don't think it has been. Could be wrong, but I don't think it would be. But yeah, it's barely anything. Never did it, but my younger brother is finishing next month. Okay. I did it. Oh, before I forget, I need to change that to red. Why red? You might ask. It's just the highest stable added damage type. I could do lightning, but red is just better. Either I go red or I go green, but they both about get the same amount of support from me, which is Scorch, which reduces all res. The helmet, which reduces all res. Or not all res, all early res for Scorch. Okay, we have our Crown of the Tyrant going. So now this character is stronger, and our next upgrade is going to look like. Oh, and by the way, let me show you the reason why I really like Chain of Commands. I think this is what I ultimately think I really like Chains of Command. I kind of also changed my thing to be cast when damage taken. So in theory, I should be tankier because I should have my defensive more. But like, I love that I can just do this. Like, I think that's the thing that I love the most. I love just running through, not doing much, and having the entire pack explode. So much so that I'm having withdrawal symptoms, thinking about not running an explode AG. Like, I can't imagine not having the explode. Now, granted, if I were to redo this as a champion in terms of like Chains of Command, what I might end up doing is I might end up going crits and non-poison, crit elemental, or physical. I haven't decided which I want to do per se. I don't know if elemental would be stronger or if physical would be stronger. You know, I could technically scale. I could technically just scale physical, impale, and just try to scale that. In theory, it would work. But I don't particularly like impale on minions right now. I don't think it's the best. So I'm more leaning towards crits, elemental, or just plain physical. And then of course, whenever I have situations where I think enemies are going to try to blow me up, I have my Val Molten Shell. Like here, there's a boss, so I use Val Molten Shell. It's gonna be up for 20 seconds, which is an insanely long time. I curse, and then I just keep riding. So for 20 seconds, I'm basically just taking half damage so long as the buff doesn't run out. And at this point, what I need is I need to figure out the biggest thing I think I need right now I need to figure out how I can get this character ready for T17s, because other than T17s, like, the character is solid. Like, it's a very solid character. Like, this is, keep in mind, the weapon I'm currently using is shit. Like, the weapon my AG is using, it's worse than the budget version I have in PoE.
This way, exile. Let it make a mess.
Yeah, non-explode looks rough. I forgot it was just a different setup to get used to. You figure what was a different setup to get used to? Like non-explode or explode? because explode just feels really good. Like clear is not an issue. All you need at that point is just single targets. Oh yeah, yes. It's what the fuck is still alive? So yeah, I don't think I would ever go non-explode chains of command. Cause like I tried last season I played non-explode chains of command, and that I think was the chains of command that threw me off chains of command, and I just didn't even try it again. So like this season when I made it, I wanted to play around I wanted to play around the explode. Now I would have a squishier, more prone to dying AG as a consequence than if I went to run something like Broadcall Spelt, which I technically, you know, I can. Let's just run away. Thank you. So if I had to run something like Broadcall Spelt as an example, I end up being tankier because I'm healing, or better still, Doppelganger. With Doppelganger, I end up having insane phase defense with my chest piece. But at the end of the day, it just doesn't beat Explode. Like, yeah, my AG is not gonna die, but I'm gonna make way less currency. Like, imagine having to kill each one of these kind of like one after the other because you're relying on the splash from the weapons. Like, no. Who cares about the splash? Just explode them. And of course, they still have the splash, so it also helps. But yeah, I am probably gonna change that other AG character into a Chains of Command build, or a Spectre build, depending. I haven't found a Spectre that really calls me. So, and right now, Chains of Command is calling me. So we'll see. I don't like the idea of relying on the forge weapons, the void forges, the echo forges, you know, the like. I don't like that idea. Hence why I'm more focused on how can I get good damage on crafted weapons, because next season those weapons can be, because like it's the same reason why Ghazi doesn't have a guide for high budget Chains of Command. It's that when they had the written guide, it was affordable, but then like the next season the price of the Void Forge went to like 100 divines or something, and you're not going to risk that amount. So like it's the same reason. I don't want to, depend on the season, depend on the meta. You never know with the forge weapons. They're always going to be expensive. They will always be expensive. That is one thing. Right now they're cheap. Just like a few divines you get like Void Forge. So I could make a Void Forge crits Chains of Command, but I would like something that I could potentially repeat next league, just so I can get a comfortable like clear setup like this. And keep in mind, this AG is not going to die. Like, so long as I keep doing like contents that I can handle, he's not gonna die. The place when it gets dicey is when they can. I feel like I stopped thinking for a second, and I don't know, and I stopped following the way I know to go forward. But yeah, the only way he dies is I die in a map. Okay, so this is where the thing is. If I die in a map, and from that point on, I now have to deal with the fact that I don't have the sword, like my weapons, and I have to go beat a tougher enemy. That is the one situation where I die, because now I have to rely on the curse to produce the things that I'm going to kill to get, you know, my weapons back. And so long as he has weapons, he's not gonna die. But he needs to have weapons. He needs to have the weapons. Without the weapons, he is at his most vulnerable. the weapons will die way before he does, because he recovers 5% of his already large life pool when they die. You know, that's a big part of his defense. So yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out. I'm gonna have to figure that out, pretty much. I have two options when it comes to that. I either make a character that's so tanky it just never dies, so he never has to run into that issue because you just keep clearing, or you make resummoning them easy. And of course, we all know the one I'm leaning to. I'm obviously just leaning to
Put down the spawn.
not dying, because I don't like dying. It is already a very level heavy build. Like, we're level 97 and we still don't have access to. I'm just gonna use my Vow skill here because I already see. I know Crush Claws are a pain in the butt. They are a pain in the butt, and they typically kill me, or they typically tend to try their best to kill me. But they don't always succeed, but sometimes they do, and I would really like them to not. Because, like, I'm 35% on the way to level 98. I'd rather keep it that way. But yeah, I would like to get to the point where I can actually run tier 17s without the fear of dying. Woo! I love when they overlap like this, because then the AoE is just hitting both of them. And you know, one other thing I love about Chains of Command in particular, I love how aggressive they are. I don't need a minion that is aggressive wand. I do not need minions that are aggressive. I don't need plus level of minion, like +2 level wand. I just need my recombinated wand and I'm chilling. Speaking of recombinated wand, we should get a better recombinated wand. That would actually be a very big increase to my DPS. Maybe even more so than getting a better AG weapon. Yeah, the poison was gonna get you. But yeah, if I can get something like T1 in minion damage and T1 increased minion damage, that should be what I try to do. Maybe we go for a recombination stream tomorrow. Actually invest in this character, see what the high budget looks like. Maybe that's what I should do. Because if I can get more damage, then in theory I can peel off more damage to get more defenses. I'm still struggling, by the way, on how to solve certain issues, but I mean, as you can see, I'm dying less to just random T16 things. T16s are now more of a breeze, thank God. The only thing I need to really worry about now is T17s. I really want to be able to run T17s. That's like the biggest thing for me. I want to be able to run T17s, and yeah, that's basically where I'm at. But I think if I remember correctly, I can just slap this on and I can run T17s no problem, right? It was something like that, wasn't it? I actually forgot this afternoon when I was trying to test what I felt like in a T17. So let's run a T17. Let's just throw one in. We're obviously going to make sure it doesn't have mods we care too much about. I'm not going to do buffs last and aura and less armor. Like, that's just saying no PDR. It's the equivalent. Reflect Ellie. No, we don't do reflect. It's going to kill us. Kill our minions, to be specific. Yeah, we can deal with this. I can get reflect killed on mines. Can you? I mean, you probably don't want to do reflect maps on mines. I don't think so. But I feel like if you were to get reflected, it should be on your I feel like it should be on your whatchamacallit. Yeah, I feel like the reflect should be on your minds, not on you, so you should be fine.
Veil of safety and security. Grip of the infinite. Grip of the infinite. A veil of safety.
I actually feel very comfortable. I'm gonna be honest, even when
Tight tethers.
this is way more comfortable than I felt this afternoon.
Tight tethers.
I kind of just forgot I had like literally, if I didn't see my Defiance of Destiny real quick, I completely forgot Defiance of Destiny was a swap. Like I completely forgot.
Death will never come.
Yeah, I think the attack should be attributed to your mind. So if anybody is getting killed, it should be your minds.
Tight tethers.
What the fuck? Why is there Maven attacking? Why is there Katarina attacking me? Maven!
A veil of safety and security.
I hate Maven, man.
Struggle or
Like even when she's phasing, I have to fight. I have to keep fighting Katarina because your bitch ass is here cloning her.
a veil of safety and security. Grip of the infinite. Shadow, rise and fight.
This dot phase is like the diciest area for me.
Struggle or strangle.
Give
A
your
veil of safety and security. Grip of the infinite.
soul burns for me.
But like it's in situations like this when I start running low on swords that like it gets dicier.
Rise and fight. A veil of safety and security. Tight tethers.
Mortal. Arise.
This is comfortable.
A veil of safety and security. Tight tethers.
Give
Shadow, rise and fight. A veil of safety and security.
your soul burns.
Grip of the infinite.
Give your soul to me.
A veil of safety.
I'll be honest, I haven't done my best in like dodging mechanics, but I do feel very comfortable with. You're gonna die here. I did feel very comfortable doing this boss. Maybe I was stressing too much.
Tethers.
Maybe I was actually stressing about the build too much and it was actually just fine. It just needed Defiance of Destiny. That's genuinely all it needs for T17s.
Tight tethers.
I'll probably what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna farm more T17s.
Grip of the infinite.
I'm probably gonna farm more T17s and just get a feel for how easy or hard it is.
Grip of the infinite. A veil of safety and security.
Also, another thing you might want to do is make sure
Of the infinite.
is like just make sure you have a second flask going for you. Like what do I mean by second flask? A second of this. In this case, I'm using a gold flask, but I can easily swap my gold flask for a second writing jar. Because again, in T17s, the scariest thing is running out of swords. So if you can make sure you never run out of swords in a single target scenario, I think you're chilling.
A veil of safety and security.
Also, cast when damage taken. I don't know why I stopped using it. It is actually goated. It is genuinely goated. Oh god. There's a lightning totem thing. I should have cleared the area first. Yeah, I should have cleared the area first. My bad. Oh great, Solita. You're dead though.
The void protects its children. Tight tethers!
Cast when damage taking defensive is actually goated. Because like my biggest problem with it was that my defensive could be off when like it was basically RNG if I would have it off or not. And I do so much to increase my max hits to where max, like I have decent max hits regardless. And because I have decent max hits, my biggest problem is just consistent hits. So if my defensive pops with my good max hits while I am taking consistent damage, it's going to act like my layer of avoidance, where it just, in reality, it's still mitigation, but it acts as that layer of like, oh, you're taking many damage or a lot of damage, stop some of them. Stop some of it so you don't take the full damage from like the entire salvo of, you know, bullets being rained at you. Kind of thing.
Strangle. Tight tethers. Tight tethers.
Yeah, Defiance of Destiny on this build just it was actually the last thing I needed.
Of the infinite.
But like we haven't died, what's it called? We haven't died.
Strangle.
We beat Katarina, even empowered.
The void
I would say overall today was a very good day in terms of we even survived that giant rock slam. Oh, that is big. That is big. I have reduced recovery rates per endurance charge. I do? Huh?
tethers.
Okay, cool. I apparently do.
A veil of safety and security.
Now that being said, I don't think you should stack up like 300% fizz as extra and think you're gonna live. Like you're not gonna live. I'll tell you that much.
The void protects its children. Struggle or strangle.
Oh yeah, by the way, I can eat that attack now so long as I use my Val Molten Shell. If I use Val Molten Shell, that circle attack does fuck all to me.
Its children. Tight tethers.
So that's one more thing I'm very happy about. Even my main character cannot survive that attack. So I'll say with the amount of time I put into this build, like just refining it, everything, I'm very happy with where it's at. All things considered. Especially considering this isn't even a bossing build or anything or the like. It's just a build that I really enjoy playing. Tornado, Rain of Arrows, some that would do it. Oh, those are what you have on your Mana Forge setup? Interesting. Oh, you know what? You know why I got slowed the second time?
Protects its children.
I kind of thought it was... maybe I spawned a duplicate of the Harvest mob. But it wasn't that. It was just Maven being a bitch. Like, genuinely, it was her just spawning some bullshit that she shouldn't have spawned.
Grip of the infinite.
Like, she's the one that slowed me and, oh! Woohoo! We get 2 tier 2 blues. I'll take it. Thank you.
Tethers.
When I'm ready and not before.
having this with cast when damage taking, one thing to note is that it does reduce your max hits in the sense that if it were to pop when you take, like if cast when damage taken, if you take a hit that's going to one shot you, you get one shot before cast when damage taken triggers your defensive. What the fuck is happening here? But anyways, if that were to happen, then you just won't get one shot. But in every other situation where it's not a clean one shot and you have to take multiple hits, your max hit is probably higher simply because the alternative is it might not have been up when you needed it. What the fuck is this chasing me? Is there a Solita in here? Or is it just you? I don't see the other thing. So that's our first death in the T17.
Struggle or strangle. Tight tethers.
This stage of harvest is the best because you just get to replenish your swords for free. And then afterwards, the poison has stacked to the point where you're just going to die once the damage reduction falls off.
Struggle or strangle.
So you know what you could do? For your reflex situation, I don't know if this would work, but you could try supporting your mana forge setup with brutality. I think that should work because it does no damage, and getting frenzy charges, unless you need it for damage, then that's a different case. But if you don't need it to actually do any damage, if it's not needed for any actual damage, then it works. Okay, that was a very comfortable T17. Died once, which is whatever, but I guess I could honestly just keep running Defiance of Destiny just till I level up. But man, who cares about that? I don't care about it enough to keep doing that. I'm just happy that I can farm T17s, which means I no longer need to sell my T17s because I love the income I get from running T17s. You know, when I sold my stack of T17s, I mean, I made good money and it was worth it because I got 2 mirror shards out of it and yada yada. But I felt it. How much are power runes? But power runes are going down. I'm gonna sell. I'm actually gonna sell it because they are going down in price hard. I could have sold these for 8 divines a pop. 8. I'm gonna sell both of them at 11 divines. If I need a power rune craft for my weapons at any point, I'm just either going to A, buy them, or B, by the way, this is a nice tip for anyone who might be considering using one of those crafts for maybe animate guard or animate weapon. To save cost, instead of buying the runes to then craft it yourself, just buy an item that already has it. That way you save yourself literally, like there are some that would cost like 4 power runes on the market for 10 divines, 8 divines. So you could literally save yourself, well, in this current economy with 5 divines a pop, give or take, maybe 5.5, you're still looking at 22 divines for the full thing, whereas you could buy for like 8. So you save yourself a lot of currency in that regard. All right, let's go buy some maps, because we need to actually buy we need to buy 8 mod maps. Everything on this line is not corrupted. The stuff I could still have. You know what? Let me see how my build fares against having lower armor. I feel like I'm gonna die. I feel like I shouldn't do this. But if I die, I die. I'm not gonna hold myself. I'm not gonna try to just not die so much I don't run. Because like all of these maps are maps that have less block, which is why I still have them here. None of my builds like it, because my other build doesn't like less reduced chance to block, but this build doesn't like less armor because it scales armor a lot. So it just kind of counters all builds, pretty much. I'm going to do 1, 2. These are glaciers. I need to remember these are glaciers. I kind of want to test the juicing strat. So I'm going to do this one map. Then I'm going to try a set where I use the scare ups from my main and I see how I hold off against the glacier strats. I feel like I should be able to perform decently there. Isn't it funny how I literally just equip a gold flask and I forget it exists? There was a time when if you told me I would have -1 flask, I would look at you like, what the fuck are you telling me? But with the current state of the game, I don't feel like obviously having more flasks is better than none, but I don't feel the need to stack flasks nearly as much. Like, I might have been tempted to go Grace and some Jade flask scaling since I had like the extra flasks and yada yada. If this was like last league ball, I think they did a decent job with the defenses. I'll be honest. Like, I think they actually did a very decent job with it. Sometimes it can still feel awkward with how like just the power that T17s have, but I think that's more a T17 issue and not a general game balance thing. Because I feel like there are some mods that really shouldn't be rolling beside each other. Like there's some T17 mods that really shouldn't be rolling beside each other. I know the funny thing. I think the biggest flex a build can have, the absolute biggest giga flex a build can have, is to not need to look at T17 map mods. I heard that Molten Strike of the Zenith, it is so strong that it can run 11 mod tier 17 maps without looking at the modifiers. Like you can run 3 Scarabs of Scarabs of Risk. You can run all of them and you don't need to look at modifiers. I'm like, I hear that, I'm like, oh my goodness, what the fuck. Now, of course, it's a bloody expensive build. It's not something you're gonna get. It's a multi-mirror build. But like, Jesus Christ, you don't need to, like, nothing affects you, my guy. Nothing reflects, nothing. I mean, reflect is countable. Like, damn. You know, like, damn.
This way, exile.
Poison Holy Relic can. I mean, Poison Holy Relic can because it's chaos, so it doesn't have to worry about reflects innately. You kind of do. You kind of actually worry about reflect, right? Like, you can't run phase reflect because you're shooting those projectiles, but I think it's something that's very easily countered, so you don't need to worry about it. I think it might even be a case of you just make yourself not do any physical damage. You know, you use what is it? What is the support gem that stops you from doing physical damage again? It's not void manipulation, but there is one. I just don't remember what it is. But yeah, it could be a case of just turning off your phase damage. You take ancestral bond, there you go. Easy solution. And it doesn't require a socket for it. How do they handle the mod that removes life when your minions are hit? How do they handle that mod? I think I like the idea of tomorrow being a recombinator stream. Just so once I post the guide for this build, I have like I can show the I can basically give timestamps of the process if anybody's interested. In making like recombinating the weapon without making a dedicated crafting video. That said, I don't think I'm gonna edit it to be shorter or anything like that's gonna be please. Why? It was so much use, man. You know the modifier on T17 maps where it's like when your minions are hit, it removes like X% of your life, something like that. There's a modifier like that. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. So like their holy relics cannot be hit, obviously, but they run specters and they run AG. Those two can be hit. So unless they just like very high budgets, they kill everything so they don't see it, you know. If I had you know what, I can actually open PoE.re and show you. Minion players, no. Well, this one is going to be annoying for them. How they cannot run this one? Okay, no, they can. Holy Relic doesn't use attack cast speed. I think it's just cooldown, basically. They don't care about attack cast speed, so they should be fine. This one, rare and unique monsters remove a percentage of life, mana, and shield from players or their minions on hit. So the moment they hit you, it's a percent gone from your life. I don't think there's any way to reduce it, and if you're scaling effects, you know, this would be an issue. So whenever they hit your AG, a percent of his life gone, and it's energy shield, of course, gone. So if you run into like Eta mobs that just, I mean, this is rare and unique, so you'd have to run into like a pack of like rare Eta mobs. But if you have that and they literally just blitz your minions, whoop, out of existence. I mean, if it's for them, sure, I see that. But what about for their minions? Their AG has, I assume this is an assumption. I assume their AGs use Mask of the Stitch Demon, in which case, you know, good and fine. They don't have to worry about the percent life because they regen like their own entire health bar every second. So unless it's like very quick, the AG should be fine. But your specters are gone. There's no way your specters live through that. Unless there's nothing that comes to mind. They gone. Okay, so we're going to do this. Then we're going to do this. I'm going to test what this build looks like with the strat that my main character was running. Now, the main character was only able to eat the jumps because the main character had block. And whenever I did not block, I would die. Literally just die. Fall flat, dead. So, I want to try it. The strat involved If I remember correctly, it involved I feel like it involved Nemesis, but let's see. Unique monsters, so Titanic Scarabs, and then of Legend. Then it needed Elder. Yeah, this. Then Torment, which is this. And I think it's used Nemesis. I think it used Nemesis. These just give it adds a lot of unique monsters. Tormented spirits are also uniques. Nemesis feels out of place. Could it have been adversaries? It wasn't Rogue Exiles. Wait a second. Can you run 2 torments? I think it was this. Yes, I think this was it. I think this was the strat. Then all right. Yeah, Spectre's probably poof. Yep. Like, I don't think there's a way around that. I genuinely don't think there is one. So let's just try one of the maps. So first things first, let's make sure we have something we can actually run. We'll just pick one. I don't want to. Then let's just do one. And then I believe we go Torment. Reset this so I don't forget. Wish me and my AG luck. I think my AG should be fine, to be honest. Is that lag? Oh, what was that? I wonder if we have the damage. I mean, we definitely have worse. Eesh. I don't like the idea of corpse exploding a more monster life map, but you know. Reduce defenses per frenzy charge. I don't like that idea either. Was that Matthias' touch? What the fuck? Did they just remove a percent of my life from like hitting me? Or what was going on there? GGAG. Goatman molten armor. Oh, you might be right there. But yeah, I don't think the AG is gonna die. Of course, I've been wrong about different things in the past, so you never know. But I think I know about that one. That mob, whoever it is that does that, I do know, like, that is a big no-no. Unless you're CI, then you don't particularly care about it. That's a little trick I've learned so far about summoning more. You cast your curse away from where you're gonna from yourself. Your minions move there, and then you throw your worms out and curse them, and you get more minions out of it than just throwing out your worms. Little bit of a pro tip. Oh god. I kind of want to keep my molten shell until the boss. That is kind of what I want to do. So wish me luck. Yeah, I can't survive that hit. There is no universe where I survive that hit. Yeah, the new ritual. Yeah, I really don't like the new ritual monsters overall. Do you feel they don't feel worth, I guess, the difficulty they add to any map? Yep. He just blew up all the swords. AG should be fine. I hope. Yeah, AG is fine. I logged. Yeah, we're gonna leave that for when we invest more into the build, I guess. Tomorrow we are going to do a recombination stream. So I switched that too early. I'm going to be making a tier 1 max minion damage and tier 1 minion damage. So I'm going to be merging both of those together. So ideally we're looking at like if I had to just throw PoB with it. I guess save. I don't know what I changed there. But this is the current plan. If I had to just go into convening 1 and get tier 1, which requires eye level 86, by the way, so keep that in mind. Or something like this, and then tier 1 of this, we're looking at 144 to 150. Like if it's actually like max rolls like 148, so I guess not 150. But anyways, if you just recombine tier 1s, there's a lot of power there. So I will probably get my, because I'm on 107, I can get up to 140 whatever. So that'd be the goal. Get that as well as +1 all minion or all spell skill gems, depending on, you know, depending on which base I find, and we'll see. My estimate is I don't think I'm going to spend more than a few divines on it. Like when I say a few, like maybe 12, 10ish. I don't see myself spending too much unless I have to craft the bases myself, in which case it's going to be more expensive. But we'll see how much the bases actually cost. Then we'll just recombine them and, you know, go with it. You can't really see Was like you can't really see through the traffic. You mean in that map? Yeah, that was a test strategy. That was not actually my main farming strategy. I just wanted to see how I would perform doing it because it's a very juice strat, and the goat at the end is very, very, very yikes. So yeah, like there we couldn't kill the goat at the end. My main character would probably kill it. That's the only thing. So we just need to get these guys. We need to get his offenses up, and then eventually maybe we can look at getting his defenses up. Because in theory, if AG gets really, really tanky and we don't need to worry about much, we can just switch from AG to, or we can technically switch our AG from his current version to providing Guardian's Blessing and fitting in another aura, like, you know, whatever. But that would also involve switching his helmet to like Mask of the Stitch Demon to make sure he has the regen to counter it, and you know, all of these different things that we would then need to do. We need to jump through many hoops, but if we're getting something like haste, it could be worth it. But like that is if we get his defenses to the point where we have 0 worries in the world on him dying, then we can do something like that. Leverage the aura for damage versus leveraging what's the name of it, Crown of the Tyrant. That might be a play. Anyways, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. I'm gonna be back tomorrow. No stream this Saturday, so heads up. But I'm gonna be back tomorrow. Until then,